original product launches I've seen. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about a product launch that inspired me. So before I start, I just want to set the tone here because I'm not just going to talk about a regular product launch. This is one of my favorite artists, and we're talking about Coldplay here. I've been a Coldplay fan for as long as I can remember, and one of my favorite albums is Mylo Xyloto. And not only is it because their songs are amazing, it's because the album has such a strong storytelling that I think is worth talking about. So, what I'm gonna do today is take you through the album, its story, and break it down into why it's such an inspiring and creative product launch. So let's go. An open question for you guys is, what do Coldplay, graffiti, and storytelling have in common? Well, it turns out it's one of the most creative product launches of the 2010s. We're going to talk about Mylo Xyloto. It's not just an album, it's a full on brand launch. And we're going to break it down piece by piece to understand why it's such an inspiring marketing case study and what we can learn from Coldplay, and also how we can apply marketing stories to this product launch. Let's talk about what Mylo Xyloto actually means. What Coldplay is doing is essentially creating an entire narrative behind this album launch, and they are introducing us to a whole fictional world. They're setting a dystopian, futuristic society where color, sound, and freedom are suppressed by an authoritarian regime called Silencia. And the story follows two main characters. We have Mylo, who is a young man, part of the regime, trained to suppress feelings, art, and rebellion, and Xyloto, which is implied as either a symbolic idea or alternate name for a movement. Milo eventually meets a girl. Of course, we need some love stories with Coldplay, and the girl is named Sparkle. And Sparkle becomes inspired to rebel. Through love, music, and color, Milo rediscovers emotion and identity. And essentially, this album, Mylo Xyloto, traces this transformation from numbness to defiance, from gray to color, from control to ultimately finding love. To me, this is such a beautiful story. First of all, let's just, take some time to thank Coldplay for inspiring us with their album launches. The fact that they're introducing us to this entire world in 2011. So, they're setting this entire context. It's not just an album, they're introducing us to a multi platform concept. They created an entire story world, a dystopian universe, a love story, and even made a comic series out of it. And this is essentially a clear brand repositioning. So we're seeing Coldplay reposition themselves and shift from melancholy, which is essentially what they've been promoting this entire time until this album, where they're introducing the concept of electronic pop. And we can honestly talk about a product pivot here. This is something product marketers love, repositioning and rebranding. And Coldplay is doing this successfully with Mylo Xyloto. They're not just selling music anymore, they're selling us a story and an experience. And here we have the full product marketing package, we have the full narrative and the full storytelling behind it. So now let's talk about positioning and targeting. We're talking about a repositioning movement because Coldplay essentially went from Viva la Vida, which was more colorful, accessible, and youthful, to a collaboration with Rihanna, where they're doing essentially a smart co-branding to reach a wider demographic. And they're shifting their messaging from introspective to hopeful rebellion. And this is the ideal for early 2010 energy. Like, honestly, kudos to Coldplay for this repositioning work because it was a risk, and they actually made an entire market repositioning with a new persona, new messaging, new frameworks, and they're speaking to a new audience here, and it was a risk for them with a rebrand. How do you evolve without losing your initial target audience? And so from Viva la Vida to Mylo Xyloto, Coldplay enabled this launch and this repositioning statement by introducing a new concept to their audience and to their listeners. And so now let's talk about the packaging and their go-to-market strategy. So Mylo Xyloto had a multi-channel launch. They had their album, their tour, digital comics, which followed the story that we talked about of Mylo falling in love and rebelling against this regime. And they also introduced exclusive content to sell as part of this launch. They did have also a pre launch strategy. So they teased with artwork in the subway. They had an entire pre launch hype with building mystery around Mylo Xyloto. What is it? What do they actually mean? What is going on? And they built demand before clarity. And that is one of the most successful things to achieve as a product marketer, is making sure that you're actually building the hype before you're introducing your product to the market. And the best go to market strategy is create a story before they sell the product. And Coldplay did that successfully. So, as I mentioned, there were a few risks, and I'm going to take you through the risks and the reactions that were allocated to this launch. So, first of all, the biggest risk was alienating fans. They introduced a big stylistic change. Critiques were mixed, but ultimately fans embraced the narrative, the visuals, and the energy. And today, I think Charlie Brown is probably one of their most famous songs to date. So it proves that it was a huge commercial success and they were able to grow the brand beyond just the album. And again, this is something that Coldplay does very well. It's introducing characters, fiction, and building world around their albums and their launches. And they did this with every single album, really. But again, I think this one is pretty emotional and very strong in terms of the narrative behind it. So the lessons for product marketers is obviously having a storytelling behind your launches, building an ecosystem. It's not just a launch, you have to have all your components. So as we saw with Coldplay, they had their story with the main characters. The songs are following the story, and we'll deep dive into some of the songs. They created curiosity before clarity, and that is something that helps you build a successful pre-launch to build the hype before you're launching your product. And they had a co-branding that was powerful to unlock with intention. So the next time you plan your product launch, ask yourself, are you announcing a feature or are you telling a story people want to be part of? So now actually what I'd like to cover are some of the songs and their story, just to give you an idea of what they're selling as part of this album and what stories they're telling with the songs. So obviously most of you probably know Paradise, and Paradise, except for obviously the amazing tunes and how easy it is to remember and sing the song, it tells an entire story. So the main character longs for something more. This is the dream sequence, what life could feel like beyond Silencia, which is the movement that we were talking about. It's the emotional low point of being trapped but hoping. This is kind of like a customer desire. It's the pain point. So the reason people search for change, it's the problem your product is trying to solve. And this song does it very well. Another one is Charlie Brown. This is, by the way, my favorite song of this entire album. And this is where Mylo begins to rebel. So this is the coming of age moment. We have the full on neon lights, the graffiti, and the risk. Mylo is falling in love. He's seeing color, stepping outside the regime for the first time. This is kind of your aha moment as part of your launch, where emotion meets experience. It's your demo, it's your magic moment. And here's a quote from the song: all the boys, all the girls, all the madness in the world, it's a rally cry. You're having your community forming and kind of your rebellion starting. And then there's Princess of China, which is the collaboration with Rihanna. And this one is interesting because it showcases a turbulent, broken love story. There is a conflict between lovers, even maybe betrayal. And this part reflects the emotional stakes of choosing freedom over comfort. So, from a marketing perspective, it's a bold collaboration because you have Rihanna coming in, it's a strategic partnership. And as part of your launch, obviously, you're kind of repositioning. So, it's important to associate your brand with a figure that has already a symbolic position with your audience and who you're trying to seek to. And thanks to this song, Coldplay was successfully able to expand their reach and bring a new audience segment. And finally, another one that I really love is Every Teardrop is a Waterfall. This is kind of the euphoric climax where Mylo fully breaks free. We're experiencing chaos, joy. It's a defiant and loud moment for Mylo, and the world explodes into color and emotion. And this is kind of like your launch moment. All the emotions that build up before now pour out, and you have your big, bold, high energy moment. One of my favorite quotes, actually, one of my favorite parts of the song is, "I'd rather be a comma than a full stop." This is an anthem for motion, fluidity, and progress. So again, I think honestly Coldplay is such a great example of creative, bold, and inspiring product launches. They did this really well with Mylo Xyloto, but there's all these other albums that honestly tick all the marketing boxes. And I thought it was interesting to see product marketing launches in the music industry and not just focus on tech or B2B SaaS. Product marketing is definitely an approach that you can take in also other creative areas. And I just thought it would be interesting to evaluate this one together. As product marketers, we always need to measure the success of our launches. And I am looking here at some of the metrics that show how successful this product launch was for Coldplay. The impact. First of all, chart performance. Mylo Xyloto was number one in 34 countries, including the US and the UK. It debuted at number one on Billboard 200. It sold 447,000 copies in the US in its first week. Over 8 million copies were sold worldwide. Certified platinum or multi-platinum in multiple countries. Paradise and Every Teardrop is a Waterfall each surpassed 500 million plus Spotify streams. In terms of touring, they grossed over $180 million. They attended by 3 million plus fans worldwide. They won awards for design, tour visuals, performance. They were praised for ambitious concept, innovative cross media storytelling, and ultimately, I mean, what else do you need? They take the revenue, the brand recognition, and the praise boxes for product launches. So, again, I honestly think this album, at least for me personally, it inspires me on so many levels. Like, I listen to it when I'm at my lowest, at my highest. It has such a powerful tone. Every song takes you through a little journey. And so diving deeper into the story of this album means so much to me that I thought I would just share that with you guys. And yeah, I think this is a little different from what I usually do, but I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. See you at the next one.